Okay, we're gonna get the tier list started now, so... Hello everybody, and welcome back to the tier list update. This is going to be the tier list update for patch 5.10, the one that just dropped. Don't forget, if you are watching live on Twitch, that tomorrow on mixer.com/SMITE game, I think they also stream it on Twitch, I'm not sure, don't hold me accountable to that. The patch notes for 5.11 are going to be streamed. Like we decided a couple weeks ago, I would do the tier list update after the patches drop, but before the patch notes are done. So that's why I'm doing these now on the Thursday before the patch notes are dropped. Baron 70 will be joining the fray in those patch notes, and I'm really looking forward to him. He looks like a very exciting, very fresh take on the mage class, and that's exactly what I wanted for a long time. But that's dilly-dallying. Let's get into the tier list, and as per usual with the couple bits of caveats beforehand of... This is for competitive play at the SPL level and high level SMITE minor league level, as well as a couple bits and pieces taken from Oceania, all the international regions, as well as like Brazil, Southeast Asia, and Latin America. It's more geared towards EU SPL play, although you will see some changes influenced by the North American SPL play, as well as the other regions, but predominantly in the European meta this tier list will be. And... just like that, we're going to get started. Chunga is not going to be available for this next week of SPL, week 4, but I anticipate it's going to be available for week 5, and we won't have a tier list update before that. So, Chunga is going to be put into the tier list today, and we're going to start off with him. Chunga is going to go to S-. He has really good lane pressure, fantastic lane pressure. One of the best lane pressures you have out there, has one of the best boxings in the game for ADCs because of his passive, and he's also incredibly safe because of his dash being able to immune abilities like Noir ultimate, being able to immune abilities like Cat ult. It's really powerful. The issue that he has is that, unlike most other hunters who could turn the teamfights on the turn of a dime, his ultimate and his teamfight changing ability in that ultimate really takes a while to go off. You have to go up into the air, land back down, and by that time the teamfight's probably already over. So the lack of a teamfighting ultimate once the teamfight has started really hampers his ability in that late game. Otherwise, fantastic god to pick up. So let's start off with the top of the list, and in your S+ category, 2 characters are going to be moving down, although only slightly. First one is going to be Cat moving down to S. Hasn't seen play in every single game, hasn't seen picks and bans in every single game, and because of that, is going to move down just slightly. Still, in my eyes, the top jungler around, but going through picks and bans occasionally means that she is no longer a top pick. Similarly, Guan Yu is going to be moving down to S. Just a slight move down. The healing nerf that he received recently does affect his solo lane a tiny bit, but affects his support role a lot more. You're really forcing yourself to pick Guan Yu for that solo lane, and the flex pick ability of the Athena or the Sobek is what really makes him stand out a bit more than the Guan Yu. Janice, if you don't know why Janice is S+, just go watch Game 3 of Us vs Obey. Yikes. Captain Twig just disappeared. On to S tier. Nemesis is going to be the first person to move, and she's going to move down to S-. Not seeing as much play as before, and she's not seeing play in situations where you would normally see her played. But when she is picked, she does still find success. So she's only going to be moving down slightly due to a lower pick ban rate than anticipated. Achilles. This is going to be a big jump, and I'm going to go into a bit more detail on this one because of just how drastic this jump is. Achilles moving down from S to A+. Achilles is Achilles was, I'm going to say, a very strong god in the early game. His passive gave himself 12 power at level 1, gave him a chunk of movement speed. I think it was like 3.5% movement speed at rank 1 when he went out shirtless, which is what you always did with Achilles because you wanted that early lane pressure. And he was just able to dominate the lane. Your early basic attacks just hit harder, your early abilities hit harder, you are faster than them so you could juke around the minions, you could rotate to your buff a bit sooner. You could do everything in the early game. Now with that loss of power, he no longer has a super strong early game. He still has one of the best early games out there, but it's no longer completely dominant. He loses a lot of matchups that he would have won otherwise with that extra 10 power. 10 power doesn't seem like a lot, but it is a lot. He also lost some movement speed, and that's also a big thing. No longer as mobile, easier to hit him, easier to box into him. Achilles just lost a lot of his early game prowess, and that's the entire reason that you picked him. You picked him for that early game pressure to get yourself that lead in that solo lane or in the jungle to then snowball that game. Because late game, Achilles, not that great. Even if you put your shirt back on with your passive, he didn't really perform in that late game unless he was ahead. Which is what we saw at LAN when we played it against Dignitas in his pull role. He was ahead, he dominated. We then picked him again against Dignitas in the first week of SPL. He didn't get ahead, he just fed. And that's the whole point. Achilles gets ahead in the early game through his early game prowess, through his early game pressure because of his passive, and he no longer has that. So why are you going to pick him? And that's the entire reason why Achilles is going to move down to A+. Aphrodite from S to S-. I know it's odd seeing a healing mage move down when we're in the midst of a healing meta. But she just hasn't been picked up as much as anticipated. She just hasn't been picked up nearly as much as she should be for an S tier character. So just a slight move down based off picks and bans alone. She's still incredibly strong, still incredibly difficult to deal with. And I expect her to be picked up a lot more, and I'm going to have to move her right back up. But until such time, she is going to be in the S- category. S-, we talked about Kilowog real quick. He has been moved into this category from the unranked gods. Watch the previous part of the video if you don't know why he's here. Artemis. Actually going to be swapping with Xbalanque. You thought I was done with the S-tier category. I was not. Artemis just has a phenomenal early game. You can't really trade into her because her Suppress the Insolent plus a fortunate crit just wins her the lane. It's annoying to say that a 15% crit chance can turn the tide of a game, but it does. In many scenarios, you have a lane matchup, say you're against a Ram, which you should lose. You get a crit on him in the early game, he then loses the matchup when you win it. And it's absurd. She's also the best teamfighting ADC in the game. Caledonian Boar is one of the most infuriating abilities to deal with, and if you're able to bait it out successfully, you gain a massive boost over the Artemis in teamfights. But if Artemis gets one of you stunned, chances are she's stunning 3, 4, even your entire team. Because you're all grouped up around, that boar just charges at you, stuns you for 1.5 seconds each. It's insane. Yeah, Xbalanque is going to blind you with darkness, but you're still free to move around in that darkness, you're still free to fire abilities in that darkness, you have to back off, sure, but you're only stunned for 0.1 of a second in competitive play, because everybody knows when to stop and when to press B, because they've played against it enough. So Xbalanque just coming down slightly due to passive nerf, and Artemis moving up because she just then fits the bill as the best ADC in the game right now. Maybe Rama is better, I still think Ram's better. What else we got in S-? We have Jingwei, going to be moving down to A+. Hasn't seen that much play because it's risky to pick her for the early game pressure. You want that pressure in the ADC role. It's the least needed role for pressure because they will just get online, they will start to fight, but she just doesn't have enough to offer with that lack of pressure. If you can get her the pressure, she's absolutely fine, but right now, other ADCs just do her job and do it better. She's there to crit you down, she's there to make sure she survives against knockups. She's normally used as a counter pick to a Sobek. This is most of the time what you see her for. I got plucked by Sobek, bam, I'm dashing away, you then use your initiation, we then kill you. A+. Medusa, gonna be moving up to S-. Viper Shot now has 4 shots at rank 4 and 5. That's all I need to say about this move. Viper Shots is a really good ability, a really good stim. Even when it had 3 shots, it was probably the strongest part of her kit. And that's odd saying that she has a massive cone stun in front of her that goes on well beyond the reach of some characters' basic attacks. But Viper Shots now having 4 charges to it at ranks 4 and 5 when you're going to be hitting that around level 11 and level 12. That's absurd. The amount of damage you're going to be able to do to somebody on that is massive. You're going to kill everybody with just 1 cast of Viper Shot. Somebody fights you when you had 3, they were pretty much dead. If you crit them once with 1 of your 3 Viper Shots, they were dead. Now with 4 Viper Shots, you don't even have to build crit to kill them. The second you hit rank 4 Viper Shots, you are winning any trade you have. Because you just kill them outright. And what's more, with that extra Viper Shot, you burn down objectives so much quicker. That increase in attack speed helps you burn down towers, burn down phoenixes a lot quicker. The fact that they gave her an extra Viper shot and didn't change anything else about her is a bit concerning to me. She still comes with all her previous issues though. Her dash is easily blockable. Without her ultimate, she really doesn't bring that much to a team fight. She really wants that isolated 1 versus 1 with those Viper shots. So she's still able to be punished in that sense. But 4 Viper shots is just absolutely absurd. The jungler can't really go onto a Medusa now. He has a lot more free reign in the team fight. You have to dive her as a 2-man to kill her at these days. And even then, might not be enough in the late game team fight. Cullen. They go to S-. Cullen didn't get changed this patch. Why is he moving up? Well, that's because 2 of his worst matchups, in the Achilles and in the Guan Yu, both of them got nerfed. Achilles significantly. Achilles and Guan Yu were great answers to the Cullen. And now, with them being a bit less powerful, Cullen then becomes a lot more of a viable pick. And what's more, if you're going up against healing composition, or you're going up against a composition with a Guardian in the solo lane, Cullen beats them. Cullen just gets the pressure against them for free. What's a mage going to do against Cullen? Nothing. What's a Guardian like Cerberus going to do against Cullen? Absolute fuck all. And Cullen just gets to get pressure because of it. You want to see an example of that? Watch our game 1 of Obey versus Rival. Yes, we don't have a Cullen, we had a Bellona, but the same principle applies. You can't stop that pressure from happening. That's just going to happen. And this is going to be the biggest change that we see. Mercury going all the way up to S-. Biggest jump we're seeing on this tier list. But being able to buy boots before the first respawn of speed buff is amazing for the Mercury. Every other jungler in the game pretty much has to start Assassin's Blessing and tier 1 Mace, because it's the best build you can have. It gives you a lot of power off the bat, and it allows you to then clear the buffs as quickly as possible. Mercury doesn't do that. Mercury gets Assassin's Blessing, gets boots, picks up a speed buff, and then he matches your power, even surpasses it. And then by the time he has to go back to base for his first spawn of speed buff, guess what? He can build full boots. At which point he then gets a speed buff again, then comes and kills you because you have tier 2 boots at most. He has tier 3 boots. And he just kills you. If he gets a kill before he even has to back to base before his first spawn of speed buff, he will get his boots before then. He will then evade your speed buff and kill you for it, because he just has an absurd amount of power there and will most likely kill anybody who comes along to help you defend it. Mercury is really, really strong in the early game, specifically concerning the first rotations of buffs, which is why you're seeing a lot of teams start to prioritize it and start to prioritize counters to it. We're starting to see Circuit rise up again. We're starting to see pressure-heavy solo lanes be drafted against the team with the Mercury, just to try and limit his potential, or try and limit his effectiveness in that early game. And then he has a fantastic late game. Sonic Boom is one of the best tools at ganking a lane with, because you can't ward against the Sonic Boom. Thor goes up into the air, you've probably warded where he's warded. Probably warded where he's taken off from. So get rotating in over mid-camps with a stealth ability, you've probably warded one of the rotation paths. You're not warding back at their tier 2. You're not warding in between your tier 1 and tier 2 if he decides to come that way. You're just not warding, you're not really able to ward where the Mercury's coming from. And he just punishes that so easily. And then he builds into crit and kills your carries in 2 hits in the late game. It's kind of difficult to deal with the Mercury, but if you shut him down in the early game, he really isn't that much of an issue. That's why I think S- is really where you're going to be seeing him stay at most, unless they buff his early game somehow. I don't know how they would do. No changes to the A- category. Hell, I still feel has a couple of issues that really limits her pickability. We did see CLG play it. We did see Final K play the hell. I don't care. Played it 1 game. It was against LG. I still think it's an incredibly risky pick. Just gets picked off a lot too easily. Very low pressure in that early game. Loses blue buff, gets invaded on consistently, gets put behind, and then hell is a nothing pick. Just there's a cleanse bot. At which point you're better picking off a Chiron, especially after its changes in the last patch. But also, we do have to talk about Chunga. Because Chunga has seen more than one game of play. Has seen a lot of success when she is picked. And there are rumors, there are words going around that in Europe, teams are starting to look at the Chunga again. Chunga is going to move up slightly to A+. And the only reason it's going up to A+ is because the top teams are the ones that are playing Chunga. If you showed me Splice, or if you showed me Trifecta, you showed me LG playing Chunga and winning with it comprehensively because of the Chunga, Chunga moves up to S-, maybe even S. But a slight move up from A to A+, because she's been picked up by the top teams, because the top teams have been able to utilize her correctly. I anticipate that she's going to move up again in a couple tier list updates time. But she is one of the best answers to the healing meta in that solo lane, and that's why she was picked. Primarily, it was to deal with the Aphrodites, deal with the Guan Yus, deal with any sort of healer that goes into that solo lane. And she did work. She did a lot of work, to the point where she was then picked up, even when there was no healers. She is doing really well for herself right now. Anticipate you're going to see a fair bit more Chunga in your ranked games, fair bit more Chunga in your casual games, and then maybe even a few more Chungas in the SPL games. Who knows? Couple more changes for the tier list, and that's going to be down in the B and C category. Yes, Upwash is moving. I did promise he would. Neath is going to be moving up from B to A-. Obey showcased her flexibility in picks and bans, showcased her ability overall in terms of a team composition, and didn't need to draft around it specifically. They could pick the Neath in the upper echelons of their draft, and then put it where they wanted to because of her flexibility. Not a B tier character, A- though, because she didn't really offer too much outside of a pressure with the ultimate. And if you want a pressure heavy ultimate from your ADC, I would much rather have a Shibbolonke, because then it will actually do things in the late game fight. If you want a pressure heavy ultimate from the mid laner, I would probably go with the Nuwa over the Neath. Or I would go with a Janus, especially go with the Janus. And finally, Upwash from C to B. Thank you so much for playing in, man. I really appreciate you picking up Upwash. I say that with like a hint of sincerity to it, because I do like Upwash. I do enjoy him. I just feel that the way they buffed him just wasn't the right idea. It wasn't what he needed. Upwash as a character does extremely well when it comes to his job of being an annoying to deal with anti-heal bully. The issue that he has is that his ultimate is non-existent. He most definitely has the worst level 1 ultimate in the game. By a country mile. But they do 70 damage per ghost at most, I think. That's nothing. You'll see quite a few Upwash players not rank up their ultimates until level... I know Death doesn't even do it until level 16. Because he just wants the rest of his kit up as soon as possible, because the ultimate is just that terrible. It offers nothing, apart from just an area of damage. They want Upwash to be meta, and they want Upwash to be played up more. They have to change his ultimate. They have to make it so the damage is more consistent. They have to make it so his ultimate does something other than damage. Or do both. But I think if they're going to do both, they have to tone down the overall damage potential of his kit a tiny bit to compensate. And that will do it for the tier list. A lot more gods posted in the upper echelons of the tier list seem to be focused around the A+ category more than the A category, but I'm fine with that. And hope to see you guys in the next tier list update. Thank you so much for watching on YouTube. Goodbye. Alright.